Most people think bleach kills mold. It doesn't. It hides it for a few weeks. Then the black stains come back darker than before, creeping through bathroom ceilings, basement walls, wooden beams, crawl spaces, and old siding like nothing ever happened. And the worst part? The chemical smell disappears long before the mold does, because bleach was never designed to solve the real problem. The Amish knew that 200 years ago, and the powder they used costs less than a cup of coffee. No fancy labels, no warning commercials, no billion-dollar advertising campaign. Just one old mineral that builders trusted long before modern chemical companies existed. And once I understood why it worked, I stopped buying every mold product at the hardware store permanently. The first clue came from an abandoned milk house outside Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The building had no electricity, no ventilation system, no dehumidifier, no modern waterproofing. And yet, the interior beams were nearly spotless. This structure had survived over 140 humid summers. I expected black mold everywhere. Instead, the walls looked dry, pale, almost preserved. That's when an Amish farmer told me something I still haven't forgotten. Bleach feeds mold. Lime starves it. At first, I thought he was exaggerating. He wasn't. Because here's what almost nobody tells you. Bleach contains mostly water, and mold loves moisture. According to studies from the Occupational Safety and Health Administration and multiple restoration industry reports, bleach often fails on porous materials like wood, drywall, concrete, and plaster because it cannot penetrate beneath the surface. The chlorine evaporates quickly. The water stays behind, which means the roots survive. Then the colony returns, sometimes worse than before. That's why professional restoration crews often avoid bleach entirely on structural materials. But hydrated lime works completely differently, and this is where the story gets interesting. Hydrated lime is calcium hydroxide, a bright white alkaline powder made by heating limestone to extreme temperatures. Civilizations have used it for thousands of years. The Romans used it, the Egyptians used it, the Amish still use it, and the reason is brutally simple. Mold cannot survive in a highly alkaline environment. Hydrated lime has a pH around 12.4. That's hostile territory for fungal growth. It dries surfaces, pulls moisture from organic material, neutralizes odor, and creates conditions mold physically struggles to return to. No perfume smell, no synthetic coating, no mystery ingredients. Just mineral chemistry older than the Roman Empire. The old builders understood something modern homeowners forgot. You do not kill mold long-term by poisoning it. You remove the conditions that allow it to live. Moisture, acidity, organic softness. The Amish never trusted bleach because bleach was temporary. Lime changed the environment itself. And once you understand that difference, the entire mold industry starts looking very strange. Because the average American spends hundreds or even thousands of dollars every year on mold sprays, stain blockers, remediation services, odor eliminators, fogging treatments, antimicrobial coatings, and dehumidifier systems that still require constant maintenance. Meanwhile, a 50-pound bag of hydrated lime costs between $6 and $12, enough to treat an entire basement. That math should bother somebody. Now let me show you exactly how the Amish actually use it. Because this is the part nobody explains online correctly. You do not just throw powder at a wall. There is a method, and it matters. The first step is drying. The Amish understand that moisture is the real enemy, not the discoloration. If water is still entering the structure, no treatment lasts forever. So before anything else, they improve airflow. Open windows, cross ventilation, fans if necessary. Sometimes they even burn a small wood stove in damp outbuildings because warm, dry air pulls moisture from the beams. Then comes the powder. For crawl spaces, cellars, barns, and stone foundations, they spread hydrated lime directly onto the ground surface. Thin, even coat, especially in damp corners. Why? Because lime absorbs moisture and raises alkalinity simultaneously. That combination makes the environment extremely difficult for mold and mildew to spread through the air. Then comes the wash, and this is where the Amish powder becomes something far more powerful. They mix hydrated lime with water into a thin white liquid called limewash. 1 part hydrated lime, about 3 to 4 parts water. Sometimes a little salt is added for durability. The mixture looks almost too simple to work, until you brush it onto wood or masonry. Then something strange happens. The surface dries brighter, cleaner, drier. The smell changes. Musty air disappears. And within days, dark staining begins fading dramatically. Not covered, changed, because the lime is altering the surface chemistry itself. Old European barns were treated this way for centuries. So were root cellars, chicken coops, smokehouses, foundations, even entire homes. Not because it looked pretty, because it stopped decay.
A farmer in Holmes County told me his grandfather limewashed the basement every spring whether mold was visible or not. Preventative maintenance. The same way people oil tools or sharpen blades. To them, it was normal. Today, most Americans have never heard of it. That did not happen accidentally. After World War II, chemical cleaning exploded into a massive industry. Petroleum companies expanded into home products. Synthetic fungicides became profitable. Bleach became cheap to manufacture at industrial scale. And suddenly, every household problem needed a branded chemical solution. Simple mineral treatments disappeared from advertising. Not because they stopped working, because nobody could patent powdered limestone. You cannot trademark calcium hydroxide. You cannot charge $39.99 for ancient chemistry in a flashy spray bottle. So the knowledge slowly vanished, one generation at a time, until homeowners started believing mold required hazmat suits and specialty chemicals to remove from a basement wall. Now, let me be very clear about something important. Hydrated lime is powerful. That is why it works. But you must handle it correctly. Wear gloves, wear eye protection, avoid breathing the dry powder. Do not mix it carelessly indoors. And never confuse hydrated lime with quicklime. Quicklime reacts violently with water. You want hydrated lime specifically, usually labeled Type S hydrated lime at hardware stores. Once mixed into lime wash and applied properly, it becomes extremely safe and stable. The old builders used it because it was effective and practical, not reckless. Now here's the part that surprised me most. The Amish do not only use lime against mold, they use it against odor, in animal barns, in root cellars, in old sheds, under floorboards. Because lime changes bacterial activity too. That stale basement smell most people think is just old house smell, often moisture and microbial growth. Lime interrupts it. I tested this myself in a detached storage shed behind my own property. The building smelled damp in every summer, mildew odor, wet wood. That heavy, stale smell old structures get after rain. I cleaned the loose debris, improved airflow, then applied lime wash to the lower wall sections and scattered hydrated lime lightly across the dirt perimeter near the foundation. Within 48 hours, the odor dropped dramatically. After 1 week, it was almost gone entirely. The total material cost was under $10. That is the kind of thing that changes the way you look at modern products forever. Because once you see old systems outperform expensive modern solutions, you start asking uncomfortable questions. Questions the industry really does not want homeowners asking. Like why ancient builders understood moisture control better than many modern developments. Why houses built before electricity often stayed healthier than sealed modern structures. Why old farmhouses lasted generations with almost no synthetic chemicals at all. And why every cheap, effective solution seems to disappear right around the moment somebody figures out how to sell you a more expensive replacement. The Amish never abandoned lime because they never stopped trusting what worked. Modern America did. Now we spray perfume over mold and call it cleaning. The old builders would have laughed at that, because they understood something simple. A healthy building breathes. It dries, it sheds moisture, and the materials themselves help protect the structure instead of trapping humidity inside it. That is why lime wash survived for thousands of years. It is breathable. Unlike many modern paints, lime wash allows moisture vapor to escape instead of sealing it into the wall where mold can grow unseen behind surfaces. That single detail matters more than most people realize, especially in basements and old homes. Modern waterproofing coatings sometimes trap moisture exactly where fungal growth thrives best. The wall cannot breathe. The water has nowhere to go. So the problem moves deeper. The Amish approach is almost the opposite. Dry the structure, increase airflow, use mineral coatings that cooperate with the building instead of suffocating it. Simple, cheap, effective, and almost forgotten. There is one more detail I need to tell you before you try this yourself. The whitening effect of lime wash is not permanent on every surface. Rain slowly wears it down outdoors. High moisture areas may require reapplication every couple years. The Amish never considered that a flaw. Maintenance was part of ownership. They treated homes the same way farmers treat soil. Care regularly and problems stay small. Ignore things for years and eventually everything gets expensive. That mindset alone might be the real secret most people lost. Not the powder, not the formula. The habit of simple maintenance before disaster arrives. Because mold remediation companies make money after the problem becomes catastrophic. Hydrated lime works best long before that stage. And that is exactly why almost nobody advertises it. There is no recurring revenue in a $3 solution. Now you know why some of those old barns in Pennsylvania survive humid summers decade after decade, while newer buildings rot in half the time. It was never magic. It was chemistry. Ancient chemistry. The kind that existed before corporations figured out how profitable household fear could become. And the next time somebody tells you bleach is the best answer for mold, remember what the Amish already knew 200 years ago. Bleach hides the stain. Lime changes the environment. That difference changes everything.